Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is you may be hearing and seeing this interview for today. I want to welcome you once again to another wonderful and exciting episode of Rediscovering Your Passion and Purpose with Patty. Yes, I am Patty Stuhlin. I am the Chief Pathfinder. And today we have a double episode, so to speak, all in one, two in one. Right here, two for the price of one. I'm excited to have someone, a certain someone here with me today that God brought into my life when I knew I needed to have a time to rediscover my very own passion and purpose. I was kind of having my own little pity party, not knowing what direction my life was going. I was at the point where I knew that I was traveling and I was enjoying that, but I felt like there was something else that needed to happen. And lo and behold, through a series of God winks, as I like to call them, I discovered something called the Week of Kindness and Gratitude. And the best part, it was free to register for this virtual summit. I'm like, please, if it's free and it's called Kindness, the Week of Kindness and Gratitude, how bad can that be? So I signed up for it. And through this Week of Kindness and Gratitude, I discovered this woman that was in charge of it. Her name was Toni Kaufman. And there was something about her that I thought, oh, I need to know more about this person and get to work with her. And I've been very blessed over the last 18 months to call her my mentor, but more importantly, my friend. And that is who my guest is today. Toni is a 7-time international #1 Amazon best-selling author and contributor. And Toni is a former personal computer trainer for President George H.W. Bush, that's Papa Bush, and is now a renowned author, producer, and speaker. As the founder of the Standout Star Speakers Bureau, she has a vast production and casting background, working on notable shows like the Latin Grammys, American Idol, and Family Feud. Toni transitioned from managing corporate teams to creating a network of influential mentors spanning various industries. She hosts the SOS TV show and collaborates with entrepreneurs, speakers, authors, healers, and coaches to provide clarity, enhance messaging, and boost sales through dynamic campaigns. Toni's high energy empowerment resonates with audiences, leaving them motivated and inspired. And I can validate that for sure. Experienced incredible results by working with Toni. And our bonus guest that I just was a surprise to me is Ron Saguin, who is a web designer and developer for over the past 20 years. And he and Toni have been working on some stuff that they're going to be sharing with us today. But Toni, first off, I want to thank you for being a guest today. And thank you so much for being here. How are you doing today, Toni? We're going to start with you.
Hey, my dad used to say, I woke up, I'm not going to jail, and I can pay my bills, so I guess I'm okay.
Life is really good, isn't it? Perfect. And Ron, how are you as well? It is a pleasure to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you too. I'm doing well. I'm here in lovely San Diego, California, so can't complain. Even though it's a little, it's getting sunny, so yeah, it's getting better again. So yes, I'm glad to be here.
Saying that I've got 100 degrees at 121 in Austin, Texas, 101 in Houston.
Oh, moly.
Yeah. So, well, I got 2 Californians then. Patty, you're back over by the coast?
I'm back in Central Coast of Pismo right now. So it's good to be out of the high desert where the same thing, it's over 100 degrees. So I'll take the coastal eddy I have right now. It's all good.
Yeah.
Hey, so Toni, as I've said before, you are the perfect example of someone who continues to rediscover your passion and purpose. And that's one of the main reasons why I wanted you to be a guest on this podcast to share your incredible story. which I shared that I have been fortunate to hear your story on several occasions, and you continue to inspire me and motivate me to do these new and exciting things that I've been doing, especially over the last 18 months. So with that, would you please share with everybody kind of your beginnings of where you started your life and how it has continued to be a part of rediscovering your passion and purpose?
Well, thank you, Patty. I've lived long enough so that you don't want to hear too much of it, because I could be here for the hour. So let's just go through Zoom, the timeline. Started off taking care of, I started off back at Farmers Insurance. When my daddy passed away, I had to take over his agency and help run it while the entire transition of, it was 1975, so I was only 20 years old when all that happened. But I knew that insurance wasn't where I wanted to end up. So
Yep.
I went from there to becoming a producer and on-air talent for a cable television. And back then it was one of the very first cable television stations ever granted an FCC license down in the little Rio Grande Valley of Texas, in a big city called Pharr, P-H-A-R-R, Pharr, Texas. For those of you who are knowledgeable about the Rio Grande Valley, it's right next to McAllen. That's the bigger city.
Yes.
So I was in charge of creating about 5.5 hours a day of local origination programming. So for those of you who don't know, every show is 30 minutes. So imagine me putting together that many shows every day. And it was just a wonderful experience. And I went from there to working with Disney at Retail, which was all the back to school shows. I was the talent and the choreographer that brought in Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, and Pluto, and we put on shows, 4 or 5 times a day for inside the malls. And I went from there to be hold on to your seats. I was Scooby-Doo. I was inside the Scooby-Doo for a couple of years, doing all the Hanna-Barbera productions.
Your claim to fame at that point, right?
My claim to fame, yeah. And you know what? I need to do that again, because all I used to wear under that costume was a one-piece bathing suit. And I mean, I remember taking that 5-pound cantilevered head off of Scooby-Doo and just pouring out, sweat from the outfit. I used to lose about 5 pounds a weekend. I really need to do this again, though.
Now that you think about it, huh?
Well, yeah, they used to say that a camera would add 10 pounds to you. My problem was that they had 4 cameras in the studio, man. So you get my drift.
Yeah.
Totally.
But I had one of the best times in my life, and I went from there to learning everything that I could about a very less not known program by a very not known company called Microsoft at that time. So I decided to start open a training school for Windows. And at that time, it was only Word and Excel. We didn't have PowerPoint. We didn't have Office. We didn't have Exchange. None of that stuff had come out yet. So I kind of, my introvert, whenever I've got too much media and too much extrovert going, I have to just run back to my cave and become the introvert that I really am. And so I learned everything I could about using a mouse and Windows and all that kind of stuff, became Windows certified, opened up a Microsoft training center, and grew a little company from, a $27 a month bold ad in the yellow pages to a $3 million corporation in about 2 years. And Ron and I have similar backgrounds on the IT platform like that.
You have a lot.
Yeah. So I went from there to, I was already producing stuff. I was already, I owned one of the first Hispanic modeling agencies. The other one was in San Diego, by the way.
Wow.
And we launched, I did 7 years of spring break for Anheuser-Busch, Miller Beer, American Tobacco Company. So I created all of the contests that in polite company I will not name, but for spring break.
Wow.
So did a lot of concerts, a lot of things like that. So I kept my life pretty busy. And then I ended up back at IT for a while. So I was kind of fluctuating between TV production, casting, and producing things, to IT, as I went back for the last 7 years to become the chief of staff of global IT for the SAP division of Hewlett Packard. And that took me through the time when I really got what I call, you call it a wink, I call it God's 2x4.
Yes.
And decided to travel to Japan, brought back a little known disease called H1N1.
Uh,
That cost me 37 days in ICU. It cost me the use of my right lung. My trachea collapsed, and I was on intravenous steroids for the entire 37 days. And then after that, so I finally got out of they had transferred me to a hospice, and
wow.
I finally got home in a wheelchair. I weighed over 217 pounds from the steroids. I decided, okay, do I just give it up now or do I start again? And so my choice was to start again because I kept hearing my big sister's voice behind me. I know she was there as she had passed already. And I remember her looking, I remember, feeling sorry for myself in bed, and I could hear her voice going, yeah, get over it.
Get over yourself, right?
Get over it. But people were worse off than you. So she would make sure that I stopped feeling sorry for myself. And that's kind of how I got into creating the Standout Stars and the Speakers Bureau, and wanting to be something different than what I already was kind of, it's not so much that I'm driven by celebrity as I'm driven by the ability to serve others who I feel need to be celebrities, such as one well-known lady named Patty Stewart. So so that's what's brought us all together. And then through the grace of God, I met Ron a couple of months ago. We were working on a project together, and he just blew me away with the way he does business, and how logical you are, and you give him a task, and in like 2 days he's got the entire wireframe laid out. And I'm like, oh my God, this man is amazing. So
Well, Toni, if I can go back real quick here, because one of the things that you shared with me before that I would like you to share is one of the main reasons why you wanted to start the week of kindness and gratitude was because of all the negativity that seemed to be out in the world. So if you can just tell that real quick, because I think that's important, how one person that can make a difference in many people's lives, which you have done with the week of kindness.
So in January of 2020, I was on a marketer's cruise, which I do every year. And if you guys ever want to go on a cruise, that's the one to go out. It's 450 or 80 of your nearest and closest friends, and you become this wonderful, being that all gets put together in the marketer's cruise. Anyway, so I decided to give that cruise to my husband as one of our last gifts for Christmas. And then he died on the second day of that cruise. Unexpectedly, and after we had already spent a week at the hospital and the doctors had all given us permission to travel, he didn't make it past the second day. So January 2020, I lost my husband of 33 years, and then got back home, went through everything, and then my little brother, who had been suffering from cancer for 5 years, I lost him in April of that same year. And we were the two that were the closest, right? There was 4 kids, the first 2, and then the second 2, we were the 2. And then COVID came in, like right before April, right in March. COVID hit, and it was just the weirdest year. I felt like, the Prince of Darkness was really having a good time with all of us. That year. So and along those lines, guys, if you're feeling anxiety, stress, friction, the inability to move forward, the inability to want to get out of bed, none of those feelings come from the light. Not any of those.
Right.
So put yourself in perspective and say, yeah, get over it. So that's kind of how I was. And so since everything had shut down, all my businesses went down to like zero. Of so many of us, especially people in the event space, right? Because there was no events. And so I decided to create the week of kindness and gratitude as a gift giveaway and a summit. And I decided to do it the week of Thanksgiving, which gave us a couple of months to work on it, and then start inviting personally people that had been on the World Class Mentors, my podcast, that were my mentors, that recommended people. So we started getting the community involved to create this summit the week of Thanksgiving, and everybody kept saying, no, nobody's going to attend. We ended up with about 60, almost 70 speakers, and about 6 or 7 sponsors. And then I pre-recorded everything. So I put my television background back in. So I produced all pre-recording so that they could be edited so that we could run it like a TV show. So you didn't have to sit there the whole time and talk, and lose your whole day. We just ran each episode as it went. And we ended up with almost 800 attendees. And that was
Wow.
unheard of, in the times of COVID. It was so popular that we had to bring it back for the week of Father's Day, because this was one of the things that I tell people to do is, of course, do some research and find out what your audience wants, right?
Mhm.
And Ron's going to talk about a great place to do some research on that. But I felt like, so I said, okay, we're going to run another week of kindness. You guys want Mother's Day or Father's Day? And it was like unanimous. Everybody was, daddies need more love. We need to honor the men in our lives that are the good guys, right?
Mhm.
And so that's what we dedicated the next show to. Had over 100 speakers, and we went up, I think it was 1,200 attendees. So it just kept growing. And then we ran the one where I met you on January of 2021.
Yes.
And then so we kind of ended into that. So the next one coming up, by the way, is in August. And we welcome you as either a speaker, and I love my emerging speakers. So if you're a baby speaker, it's okay, come talk. I'll help you out.
He will
And
definitely help you out.
if you've got a gift, or if you've got something to offer, or if you've got something already lined up with landing pages and you're an expert at this stuff, come on over. We can play. It's a week of kindness and gratitude. It will be on Event Raptor this time. And yes, we are running it like a TV show. It's pre-recorded. So you just need to be there at your time. And
But I think the point to all of it, though, Toni, is showing our audience that's listening right now or watching on YouTube the fact that one person can make a difference. And it doesn't have to be a worldwide difference. It can just be a difference that's made in your little part of the world. And by you creating that week of kindness and gratitude out of your own grief, number one, and the fact that things, at least in America, we're not going so well politically in our country. So things were not feeling very positive or uplifting.
yeah.
And because of your frustration, you took that and you created something good, not just for you, but more importantly, for other people to have something good and positive to look forward to. And that's kind of a message that I know that I wish to share through this podcast, is to give those of you that are listening that that uplifting hope that there are things that you can do to make a difference in this world, even if it's just within your own community. It's taking that first step, which, Toni, you've taken that step many times in many directions. I mean, so that's inspiring, not just
It's
to
resilience, Patty. Yeah,
a couple
we've got to be
people, but to
resilient.
others. And Ron, I want to move on to you, because I'm just now meeting you and I don't know what your story is. Would you like to share a little bit of your story? Because I'm sure with you if you've been working in the web industry for the last 20 years, you started in an area that I know 20 years ago wasn't well known as it is today. So share a little bit about your story, who you are, where you come from, and how you keep rediscovering your passion and purpose.
Well, just hearing Toni's story, it's not only inspiring, there's so many really cool coincidences that have brought us together and we share. And in my book, one of the chapters is coincidence, and it's just a way of God speaking to you externally when you believe that's the way He's speaking to you. And just great things when you feel that there's a coincidence. Just really means an affirmation for me, and like the right positive action. And the similarities that Toni and I are sharing parallel are kind of uncanny, because I used to be an insurance agent for Allstate, but I didn't like it because there was nothing creative. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then I grew up in Los Angeles in East Boyle Heights. I was the only Filipino with all the Hispanics there. So I learned Spanish there. So, and then just growing up in Los Angeles and being in the scene of like where things like unfold and trends. And then I started with print design and graphics, and I had a Wilshire office and printing. And then when the web came, it was just an easy transition for me to like go to the web to print. It was just natural thing. And then there came the World Wide Web and
Mhm.
all these websites that people are building. And I was in the forefront of developing these websites, and I was way overworked actually, and actually was there was a downfall in terms of like I was overworked. Uh, I took substance to like give me, and then I went to another level. We'll talk about that. It's in my book. But what I'm talking about really is now digital marketing and web has revolutionized as we go, as we move forward, and now at this juncture with artificial intelligence, it's the game changer. You know, it's the tape versus CD, from the CD to the MP3. That's the evolution. Right now we're actually at 8 tracks with AI, and to be like at the CD level, meaning like the evolution between AI right now and what it'll be in the next year or two, is going to be revolutionary. Like we will transform our way of living, and people are saying that and they're going to lose jobs, but you just need to adapt. And one thing that I love about Toni's story is like her resilience of the things that she's gained and then lost, and how she is persevering right now to just do it, and just no fear. Like, you know, she's just doing it. They're not even about, it's not about like you know like age or like what she's done. She's learned AI. She knows AI a lot more than a lot of people that I know, you know, and she's adapting, and it's encouraging and inspiring for me, because you want to work with people like that, like will persevere, you know, and go beyond the circumstances. And she's already achieved a sense of level of success financially, but now it's like, okay, how do I serve better, and how do we promote? And that's where we're at together. Like, you know, coincidentally, we worked for someone. There wasn't any substance here, but then we said, let's do this, and then because we could help people, and then so it's unfolding right now, and it feels good. So we're just gonna going with that intuition, and yeah, I mean,
Ron, if I could stop you just for a second, because I know there's probably many people in my audience right now that have no clue as to what AI is and what you are referring to. So if you wouldn't mind, in layman's term, tell
Okay.
everyone what AI is and what it means.
Okay, well, artificial intelligence is machine learning, like with a human form, and it already understands every language and everything that's been read. It's took it in like a data, and now it speaks to you. It speaks to you just like a person. There's something called Chat GPT, which was released back in November, given to the public as the first thing to introduce artificial intelligence to the world, so that people will start understanding where we're going with technology. You know, the big brains behind this gave it to digital marketing because they knew that it will create financial growth, and at the same time, the people who are doing digital marketing online will benefit from it first. And so it's something that once I saw it, I realized this is the thing that I've been missing, because I've been one of those solo acts for so long and hiring out, and you know, but this is the thing that is the game changer. And so you can use artificial intelligence to catapult you from someone who needs direction to using it as your tool to get to where you want to be. That's, I don't know if that answers something for you.
I think it'll give everyone a basic understanding. I mean, one of the things that I'll share real quickly, a couple of weeks ago, I was in a workshop where using AI, Chat GPT specifically, you could write a book in a day. And I'm thinking, how can you write a book in a day? And basically, I know that you could have this artificial intelligence write the whole entire book for you, which is not something that if I'm going to write a book, I want it to be my book. I don't want it to be artificial intelligence. But what I learned that day is from the many documents and newsletters and signature talks that I have written, I was able to download that into ChatGPT. And what it did was it translated all the things that I have written into a form that was good for a book. So the book still, it's my words. It's just fancified a little bit based on what ChatGPT did for it. So
Exactly
so
what it is.
so I did learn that it'll do it all for you, which I know that scares a lot of people, and I happen to be one of those people. But after taking that workshop and seeing how I'm still using my words, my documents, the things that I created, but it's just an enhancement, the two could blend together and become an even better book than what I would be able at this stage to be able to do
Right.
on my own by myself.
Ron, with your
Well-
permission, I mean, I'd like to share how I used it over the weekend. I had a very strict deadline on a big proposal that I had to get out. And I just felt like the old proposals that I had were too wordy. It was just too much. So I've already fed a lot of my voice and a lot of the stuff that I've written into my chat. And so what I did is I said, in the voice of Toni Kaufman, please shorten this to 150 words. And I put in that part of the proposal and spicked it. 30 seconds later, I had my document, went back over, and I redid every single chapter and shortened every single one in my voice. And it helped me do that. I mean, what a lifesaver.
Yeah, and
It's amazing.
it doesn't, like, chat can't just do it for you. You have to give context.
Yes.
You got to really put in what you want and really be detailed for it to have some real value. So it does complement your already existing writing. It's really improved my writing. This book right here took my partner a week to do. It's Discovering Christianity Through AI, which is remarkable. Like, this is like a no bias opinion. It helped write like a 1-page summary of each book in the Bible, and it's but my partner.
Wait a minute. Did you just do Cliff Notes for the Bible?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I think that's what it was.
It gave it a great perspective, and it gives it a way so that it was, great. My partner is a programmer, and he's one of those kind of jobs that are going to be taken away.
Yeah.
And people are like, their jobs are taken, but he embraced it. He looked at it like, okay, how does this enhance me? And so it does. And now we just have the ability, so we don't have writer's block anymore. And and that's what it's about. Like, you don't have to fear about writer's block, and you can have a real sense of direction, because you can tell ChatGPT, right, as a professor with a degree in psychology, now tell me why this child is acting this way, and then it just does it. And that's you just got to learn. And that's what I've had consultations with clients, like, this is how we're going to integrate it for you. I've had boot camps so I can teach like a 75-year-old man how to manage his emails and work his CRM, and he's doing it. And I'm still working with him, because it's not just like the emails now, but one of my purposes, I want people to succeed. So I don't want just, okay, goodbye. So anyone that I work with now, I make sure that I can really get them somewhere. And so I'm really excited on what it's doing for everyone, and I encourage it. So.
Well, I had a little fun with it when I first learned about it. I thought, okay, let's see what this can do. And so I asked it to create a song for Pathways with Patty. I put the prompt in for that. Oh my gosh, it was a really cool song.
And it had your pathway, like all your slogan, all your
I have to somehow figure out how to put this in, on my webpage and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, just something
Wait,
fun.
did it actually play music, or it just gave you all the
It just gave me all the words, and
we
I
need
thought,
to get Schroeder involved.
and I just thought, okay, I got to find some people now that can actually turn this into a tune, and maybe that'll be my theme song future for my podcast here. You never know.
Eddie, I got you. So just like, there's AI that can actually give you the theme music. like,
Oh my gosh.
and then you can have a nice theme and then have that, like, so
Royalty free.
yeah.
Ooh, how about that? So Toni, going back to you, I know you said, some of the challenges that you've had in it to overcome, but now that you're moving into new areas, which is one of the things that inspire me and many others, that you continue to do that. What are some of the most recent challenges that you have had that you are overcoming to continue to move forward?
Oh, that's a great question. It's in depth, but there's a lot of feelings that come when your company isn't moving fast enough, when income hasn't been where you want it to be.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm much closer now than I have been in years to where I want it to be, but you still, well, I'm just going to be frank. I'm 68 years old and I didn't want to work that hard.
Mhm.
Number one. Number two, I've already set up the time, the fear of doing too much, and it's not really a fear, but the anxiety of not having my own time. I conquered that, and let me tell you what I did is I set up, as I refuse to have any meetings before 11 o'clock in the morning. That's
Mhm.
my time, my come back to the world. Hey God, thanks for waking me up today. But that's
Mhm.
my time, and that's where I can catch up on what I'm doing that afternoon. Now, I don't mind working from noon till 7 or 8 o'clock, but I don't want to work in the morning. So that's good.
Right.
And then I've set up so nobody can make an appointment on Monday or Friday. I make the appointments on those 2 days if I'm not traveling or going to an event.
Right.
So now we've got 3 days of the week, most of the afternoon and evenings. And I just, that was a huge breath of fresh air for me, is knowing that I had control over the time that I want to invest in my.
Now, what's interesting by you sharing that is something that you are overcoming, because over a year ago, February, you had a very serious conversation with me, and because you knew that I was a retired educator, and you had said to me, Patty, I want you to understand that when you start this entrepreneurship, it can take over your life 24/7. And since you are retired from a career that you already basically had done that, do you want to continue to do that? And you specifically told me, if I did not want that to happen, to sit down and figure out what days were business days and which were retirement enjoyment days. And basically, with your help, I created it was the same thing. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday was pretty much my retirement fun days that I wanted. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays were my business days. Now it's creeped in just a little bit, but what I find is interesting is that you're now ready. You told me about doing that, and now you're finally, yeah, I need to do that for me
Just do what I
too.
say. Don't
That's
do what
what
I
you
did.
preach.
Exactly. That's exactly what, it's a full circle moment now, isn't it, Toni?
It really is. Yeah, it really is. And that's one of the very first things that we do with people, that want to be an entrepreneur, because going from employee to entrepreneur is a very different path.
Mhm.
And going from an entrepreneur with a new baby, you know,
Right.
people who buy you know, businesses that already exist don't understand that they just adopted a new baby, and it's a 24/7.
Right.
Right, Ron?
Yeah, that's 18-hour days.
Yeah, yeah. And so you kind of have to put that in perspective, because you will burn out. I
Right.
mean, I'm watching a couple of my friends right now just burn out because they're always on, and
Mhm.
nobody can keep up with that. You
Right.
just can't.
It,
Yeah.
it always catches up with you, and that's what happened when I was teaching. I was the 24/7, and it burnt me out bad, much about 15 years sooner than what I thought. I figured I would be teaching until almost 70, but
Yeah.
that also wasn't God's plan for me. And so luckily I was open to, didn't know what I was going to do, but here I am right now with the two of you. Ron, what about you? What would you say that have been some of your most recent challenges for you to overcome, to keep going forward with what you want to do?
Um, the days when or the weeks where it ends and you don't have a client, and you just have to just suck it up and kind of move forward, continue what you're doing. I've also learned time management as well. They say you got to do 8, 8, 8, 8 hours of work, 8 hours of sleep, and then 8 hours flex time, where that's either with your family or hobby or something. So usually you need to do that as a balance for yourself. I still haven't done that 100%. I'm still working a little more than I should, but at the same time, I've learned to let go. And I have a couple of staff members that I can give responsibilities to. And I'm learning how to discern on clients and who do I work with, and how, because I'm a giver and I do more than I are expected, just because I know I can do it. But that's hurt me in the past too, because I don't get paid what I should, and the value of my work is not recognized, and it's challenging. But now, just going with the right direction with right people, following the flow, and just being mindful of the presence of God, so I can go the right way.
Right.
Yeah.
Toni, what would you say is the best advice that anyone has ever given you?
Oh my God. The one thing that pops into my head is sometimes you've got to go slow to move forward.
Mm,
You got to back off, just take a breath, reestablish where you are, and then let's move forward. And it's not going to come all at once. It's little
right.
pieces. But I've been blessed. I remember hearing a movie star, and I don't remember who it was, talk about how fortunate they were that now they can take whatever script they want, not what gets thrown at them.
Mhm,
And that's how I feel about my clients, is I feel blessed that I can say no to some folks who I know are not going to be a good fit because they're not ready.
mhm,
And I can pick and choose people I want to work with. And that to me has been a blessing, because I've also allocated enough time to, like the project that Ron and I have right now, that's about to launch. And I've been able to dedicate enough time for the new stuff that does turn me on than the old stuff that I've got to serve, that I've created to continue serving the people that I love the way that we need to serve them.
Great.
So yeah, I've been given the opportunity to do that now.
Good. Ron, what would you say is the best advice anyone's ever given you?
Slow down as well, because I'm fast, and I like to take on, I do multiple things, but I've really had to hone down because it's important. It just doesn't, you can multitask all you want, but if you want something nurtured and refined, then you got to put a lot of your absolute attention to it. And even though I have multiple projects at a time, I'm grateful that I have the help now to do
Mhm,
the mundane tasks. But yeah, slowing down is important.
excellent. Toni, what would you say you are passionate about personally and professionally? What are you passionate about right now?
You know, there's one word that pops into my head because that's what I've been working on all year, and it's called fulfillment. If you
Mhm,
make a promise, you've got to take it. You've got to keep it. I don't care if it means that you're going to invest 6 months into a free service for someone because you didn't fulfill last year. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
mhm,
I felt like my next level group, I wanted to make sure that all the T's were crossed, that you have exactly what you need to move forward, that was my promise for you last year. And so that's what I'm fulfilling on this year, yet keeping your mind open to new possibilities and to the next new project that
mhm,
makes you excited.
mhm,
And that's what Ron and I discussed, and that's the main reason I brought Ron here, is that this has been exciting for me in the same way that I knew without a shadow of a doubt that I needed to learn Windows inside and out.
mhm.
I felt that way back in the early 80s,
Right.
and I feel that way right now about AI. And so that's what we're here to really present. So I'm kind of excited about that.
And going along with that, then what would you say that right now you feel your purpose is?
To disseminate knowledge the same way and train the same way that I did back when I was doing Windows.
Okay, very good.
That's how I felt. I feel like it's a good a trailer to hitch onto.
Mhm,
But at the same time, there's I think, and I don't want to segregate by saying only boomers, but I feel that a lot of people are confused about what AI is, how it's going to work, how it works for us. And Ron, should we introduce the title of the new book?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So go ahead. It's our baby. Go ahead and give it.
Well, we're just bringing back the old simulation of I'll just say it. It's AI for dummies.
Ah,
Yeah, we're creating a book.
woohoo, there you go. There's the exclusive right
Yeah.
there. They have
And it's for
created a
people who
book.
believe that that the Terminator is going to come out and get them, and then they're going to be plugged out into the Matrix. This book is for them because that's not going to happen at all. You know, where people are tend to go with a sense of fear when they don't understand, right? And we just need to educate them and show them ways to utilize it for their life, and how to take advantage of it, because it's really there for us to improve ourselves while we're in the transition of this technology, like just kind of sitting or where it's going to be. Like it's just like a tidal wave of knowledge, and you're either going to ride it or going to be drowned by it. But we're here to like level out the awareness so that there is an avenue for someone to say, oh, I can learn this. I mean, everything from a course I've created on Udemy to the book that me and Toni are creating with AI for Dummies. We just really bring the awareness that like your purpose is, there is a place for them to get the knowledge to really not be afraid of where it's going to go, because you're only afraid because you don't know. But once you know, then there's no fear.
Right.
There's so many ideas that are just going to come out of like what you do professionally, you know. It's
Right.
amazing.
Well, did you know, Patty, for example, right now, there is a different version of TikTok in the United States than there is in China.
Wow.
And so some of the research that Ron has done, I'd love you to, especially as an educator, I'm going to shoot this over to Ron. Go ahead and tell us what's happening.
Patty, part of like, so me and Toni are in this nice spiritual like dance of where God's taking us. He's led us to you, which you are an educator, and we just like want to share with you the other project that we're doing, which is like when I first heard about AI, it's where my little epiphany went, and so I created the idea, and it's ready to go. It's just something that we look for funding, but you know, TikTok is a Chinese app where it's providing a way for people to entertain themselves. But what it really is a way for China to get to know our behavior and our way of it actually not only our behavior, but it's actually guiding our behavior, guiding to a point where we are being very guided to be more stupid, because it allows
like
us
a bunch of sheep.
Yeah, there's a lot of dumb stuff that people are going, but it also showing how ignorant and how things are like unfolding. But in China, all it is, they have education. They are like teaching their
The
kids
same app.
like science and projects and reward, and it's only available for 40 minutes at a time a day. They're not, the average person using TikTok goes on it every 15 minutes.
Wow.
So opposed to the Chinese who are just learning curriculum. So
Well,
that's,
for example, if their child, sorry, Ron, for interrupting, but if their child's sitting on the couch, you can ask it, would you teach me how to play the guitar for the next 15 minutes, or the piano, or what is scientific theory for this? So you have the kids in China are being led to learn, where ours are being led to how many times can you butt twerk? You know, how many steps do you need to learn to make this dance happen? How, you know, can I skateboard off the top of a car? You know, silly things that TikTok is showing us. I mean, I've been on TikTok 2 or 3 times, and after a couple of those little shorts, I'm like, why am I wasting time on this? You know, it's not fun.
Easy to go down the rabbit hole.
Well, really? and do the survey that they had about what kids want to be in the future.
So that's the scary part, Patty, is so they had a survey, and they asked the kids in the United States, what do they want to be when they grow up? And they said they want to be social media influencers. Okay. Now they asked the Chinese kids, what do they want to be when they grow up? And they said they want to be astronauts.
Wow.
or in
So,
your ears.
imagine that generation that grows up, who are going to be the leaders of tomorrow.
Yes.
That's the part that I brought Toni to really help me like make this into fruition, because I'm going to introduce something called the Astro Kid. And the Astro Kid is an app that's based off AI, that's gonna, where the mom could just say, teach my kid how to read notes, music notes, and then give it to the kid. And then now it's like, instead of giving their kid their phone so they can be distracted and then they just go into nonsense in YouTube or wherever, they're actually getting an app that's going to teach them something that's entertaining and will be
It's entertaining and educational at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So it's
But
a
we're
safe
really
space
getting,
for
so we
parents.
can train the leaders, so we
Yeah.
can really get back, like, wait a minute, let's take responsibility as a parent and really, like, don't just give them the phone, give them something that can learn, because that's
Right.
missing right now. And people need to become responsible again on what their kids are viewing, because it's out of control.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So
No,
we're
that,
launching a GoFundMe, Patty, for this app to come to fruition, and we're this close to getting it done and completed. So we're excited about that as well.
so that's Astro Kids then. That's what you're calling that.
Astro Kid, yeah. And we want to Toni had a great idea, because we were coming here, that we want to have the educators be part of it, like the teachers, and so we can bring this app and collectively create something, like even a curriculum that really like enhances the child's natural talent to become whatever they want to be. So because the technology is here now, Patty, and this is not like something that we have to think, how can it be done? It could be done. And
Right.
we could really take responsibility towards the direction this could be. And I would love teachers to give their input and to the way this is going to unfold, you know.
Are you looking at your target audience with the kids being in the primary grades, like, you know, preschool to third grade or fourth grade, or what grade levels are you looking at?
It starts from 18 months to all the way to 7 years old.
Oh, okay.
It's teaching and it's going to know that age. So in the app, you're just going to tell the app, it's going to say what age they are, what you know, and what you want to know. So it already know what that type of, you know, at that age, like how receptive they are, what could they see visually and auditorily. So we're going to use all the senses so that we can be able to like know how we can mold them to achieve better memory. You know, the whole thing, it's really, that's my legacy in a sense in the near future, because it's something worthwhile. It's something that we need to be responsible with, and I'm really passionate about.
So Ron, I know that you just said here briefly that you're looking at wanting to get input from educators that are out there. And I know there's a number of educators that are listening to this podcast. So where would they go to contact you to talk to you about this? Do you have a website, or how would they get in touch with you?
We just kind of published the GoFundMe. And so in the near, by next week, I'll have a landing page on like astrokid.com, and I will have people where they can contact us and give, we'll have more information about it. So we'll give you that information next week on how people can like contribute, because I mean, we're looking for investors so that we can actually get this up and going, so we can have capital and produce this as soon as possible. And then like start make it a free app first, so we can really have it extended, and then go from there. I'm hoping to release this by the end of the summer, and then go on, you know, and hopefully it will be something that we can really be a part of. And you know,
So we're doing it in phases, Patty. It's kind of a launch.
Sure.
And we're letting people join us. I mean, let me put it this way: if Exploding Kittens could raise $2.3 million for a game that, you know, turned into a card deck that they would mail you, we're looking for Astro Kids to really kind of take over on the AI market with emphasis of including educators and people who can make a difference, one to many. So the first phase is getting the book out, AI for Dummies. And while that's happening is to launch the website with the GoFundMe site. And then from that on, we'll have a series of webinars and workshops so that educators can come in and say, no, I think we need to add this. And I want everybody's input. Anyone who's giving us from $10 to $15,000, they can tell us, what kind of input they're looking for, plus the ability to distribute, because distribution and production is going to be very important on this. And
well, the bottom line is knowledge is power, as we have heard.
I love it. Yeah.
The bottom line to all of this is if we want our children to succeed and keep us moving forward throughout the world, this is what we need our children to be entertained, but also through gaining knowledge.
Right.
I mean, that's power. That's incredible. I think this is a magnificent project that you're working on.
Right. And then we'll also have, the child ambassadors and of course the parent ambassadors that will come in and keep us on the straight and narrow to make sure that we're getting to what our goal was. And our goal is to influence, their decisions and their future. And this, I hate to say it, but I'm ready to stop the stupidity.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah. It's one thing to be entertained, but with the entertaining, let's learn some things, how we can continue not just improving our lives, but the lives of those around us as well.
Yeah.
So Toni, what would you say is your superpower?
Oh, I've always been able to look at someone and kind of know where they're supposed to be. I don't know if that sounds weird, but I mean, I'm a great casting director.
You're a visionary is what you are.
I'm a visionary with a great casting experience, so that I kind of know where things are supposed to be and how to get them there. And I think Ron has a lot of those same superpowers. You kind of know the project that we're on and what it needs to, he needs to put the wheels in motion and get it there. And I love the fact that we can do this one step at a time, and every step is dependent on the other. But the outcome for the entire project, I think, will change the world. And that's what we're looking for.
And Ron, what would you say is your superpower?
Lying. I'm kidding.
Excellent.
I just don't tell.
I want to see that.
No, I would honestly just my sincere kindness and I don't think it's a power, but it's just how I know. I don't think of it as a superpower. I just know that being kind and being and sharing my empathy and understanding towards someone, it's just like Toni's, but mine just has another direction, another feel. It's just understanding who you're talking to and then how to talk to them. That
is definitely a superpower. All right, another question that I ask all of my guests is, Toni, how are you living your best dash?
Oh my gosh. Well, my brain goes back to Sleepless in Seattle. As you wake up, you take a step, you breathe, and then you do it over and over and over again. And I do all things through him who strengthens me.
Amen on that one. Ron, Ron, how would you say that you're living your best dash?
Just being present as much as I can. And just always being mindful of the will, and it's not mine. And then as much as I try to take control, I try to bring me down to earth and know that I've been given this for a purpose. So same feeling.
Very good. Any final thoughts, Toni? We'll start with you. Any final thoughts of words of wisdom that you would like to share with our audience?
Well, there's so many quotes that you can use out there, but the reality is, my dad told me, if you are in front of farm workers, you speak that language. And if you're in front of a president of the United States, you speak that language. Because the idea of being able to not feel entitled, to not approach the world as if somebody owes you something, that's very important, because nobody owes you anything except your mom and dad. you know,
Yep.
and if you can get that straight, that means, people will change because you're trying honestly to help them. And so my words of wisdom is to just take one day at a time and breathe and make sure that you kind of have your compass set to north,
Mm-hmm.
and keep going in spite of it all. Just keep
Excellent.
going.
Excellent. Ron, what would you say are words of advice that you'd like to share with everyone?
If you're working a job where your anxiety and your anger and frustrations are always coming out, it's because your soul is telling you you're not supposed to be there. That you're
Mhm.
meant.
I love that.
You really have to listen, and not to listen out the anger, but listen that you're meant for something else. And there's
Mhm.
an invisible wall between you and success that you need to break from. And to only do that, you have to let go of the idea that you had to get paid hours for dollars, and that that you have to bring your 100% into what you want to do, with resoluteness and without fear, because if to only do this, to get to that step where you're better than what you're doing, is you got to know that God's with you, whatever, however that is, whatever faith you have, that source is with you, and it's calling you, and it's angry with you because you're not making that foot forward. So that's where anger's coming from, is you're not doing it. So follow through, just do it, and once you do it, all the things will come, and it'll come really like surprisingly, and even like wow, I can't believe it, that's all working for me, because that's the path that he wanted you to go in, and he'll give it to you. But if you don't, you're just going to miss the mark, and it's like, well, it's going to take you more time, but once you get it, I'm going to give it to you.
Mhm.
So I congratulate you, Patty. You look like you've been doing it for years. You look like you're on point. I congratulate you that you're on your path. Whatever I could do to contribute to that path, I am honored to do so. Like,
Oh, well, thank you. It's been an honor to meet you. I wish it had been before this podcast, but at least the thing that I like is that
good
I know it's
news
gonna happen after this
yeah,
podcast too.
good
So,
news is there is tomorrow, and I'm welcome.
but what you just said, I mean, you're totally speaking my language. I mean, because that's what has led me through all of this that's been happening for me, especially over the last 18 months. So I relate to it immensely, and I know that many people out in our audience also relate to that as well. I want to thank both of you so much for being here today and being my guest on the show. Toni, people I know are going to want to connect with you. So let's start with you. Where do they go to connect with you on whatever it may be that they want to connect with you on? Where would you like them to go to?
LinkedIn is Toni Kaufman. Facebook is Toni Munoz, which is my maiden name, Munoz Kaufman. And Toni at standoutstars.com.
And Ron, how about you? How would people get in touch with you?
My company website is standoutbydesign.com. You can reach me there. My email is ron@standoutbydesign.com. And yeah, you could just reach me from the website, email me, and we'll have more to share with you, to share with your audience in the near future.
And I will make sure that in the description for each one of the podcasts on YouTube and with Apple and Spotify and iHeart and all those other good platforms that this wonderful podcast is on, their information, their contact information will be on there as well. So all you'll have to do is click on the link and you'll be able to connect instantly with them. Again, Toni and Ron, thank you so much for spending this time with me and sharing how you are rediscovering your passion and purpose. I have enjoyed this time immensely with both of you.
Thank you, Patty. Thanks, Ron.
See you later.
All right. And for all of you out there listening, remember to subscribe and follow this podcast. And I invite you once again to invite your family and friends to also subscribe to it as well. And you know what? While you're out there and you're on the site, go ahead and just hit that 5-star button for this 5-star rating. And please write a review. I would love to hear what you think about the podcast and our guest. And if you know of guests that you'd like to have on here, please reach out and let me know. Remember, you can go to my website, www.pathwayswithpatty.org, and then sign up for a Zoom chat with me to get my Pathway to a New Beginning roadmap. Until we meet again, continue to live your best dash and know that life's an adventure, and I want you to enjoy the journey because your life matters. Thank you for joining us, and God bless you all.
God bless, guys. Thank you.